All right, so I figured we'll just continue on with these doors a little bit and see where we end up. Still have some pretty good size issues. I noticed, remember, this side sticks out a little bit, but it also, I've got this pretty even now. It was like wider here and narrower there. So I was able to actually adjust the door on with the hinges. But in order to do that, I had to take a hammer and chisel and go through here and knock where the little piece that the rubber holds in. Now this side's never been in an accident, it's never been damaged. It didn't have any real rust on this part of the door. So the door, I'm thinking, is just a little bit thicker up here. A little bit thicker than the original. Not a big deal. Can easily be corrected if you had that issue. I just took a hammer and chisel and just knocked my way along here until the inside fit. Let's take a look at it. I'll show you right here. So you can see it's really close right now. And when you open it and see how close it gets, get a little closer. What the heck? Got a little bit of a lighting issue here. But if you can see, it kind of gets really close. And I had to tap that in. Also, I noticed that I had to hammer a little bit along this edge. Back you guys up just a little bit. I had to hammer along this part because it was actually hitting right here on the door. So those are just the things, and that maybe because I'm using the original hinges. They're a little bit thinner than the other ones, but they seem to fit a little bit better. I didn't try the other ones on here. I did on the other side, and these ones were a lot better. So it just might be something, a little bit of adjustment. And again, I could take the other ones and I could grind those down. There's a ton of stuff you can do. Don't give up if you don't have the hinges. Don't just figure, oh, they don't fit, blah, blah, blah. And it's, it's just going to take the work. You got to do the work. That's the way restorations are typically done when you use aftermarket parts, especially on VWs. So this is a little bit out still, okay, over here. And I can either hammer that down. And the only things I'm concerned about is, I don't know if this is going to hit here. Maybe I'll just hammer and chisel that in. But I'm going to what I wanted to do is this. Is strip down these doors here. And get those ready. And then take all the good parts I need out of them. I'm sure I'm going to need a torch to get these off. I'm going to try without it. So I'll heat them up with a torch and pull it apart. Maybe some of these will come out with I don't know, maybe those will come out. I don't know either. But go ahead and run that, and we'll run that high speed here so you can just see, and then we'll talk about some of the problems or what issues I had getting them apart later. But at least you'll be able to see how they come apart. Maybe it'll give you some ideas about how to do yours sometime. All right, I'll talk to you guys later in the video, and we'll see what happens. bad do you think it's going to be? I already made sure it was loose. It's all a surprise with this thing. Here, look at this. That thing's in great shape, isn't it? I'll just throw that sucker in a bucket of oil or something. I don't know if you can buy that here. I don't think so. So I will take it apart and fix it, whatever. It might be not as bad as I thought. Look at that. Not bad. Just around the wind wing. It's weird, I don't know. I wonder if these have been replaced. I thought 62 was Sigla. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think 61 is Sigla, but maybe 62 too. I'm not sure. All right, let's see if this works. Sometimes it does. Just get it started. If the rubber's not too awful, you can peel underneath it and go around like this. But sometimes if you just heat it up, use a heat gun or not too much heat. You want to catch it on fire. So you notice I'm moving the flame a lot. Probably can't even see there's a flame on. Just get it warm. And then it's too warm. I got it pretty hot. Yeah, this one's not working too good. A lot of rust down in the crack. It's working though. Sometimes you can put your thing under your little poker, put it underneath it, heat them up again. And sometimes you can get it really hot and just crystallize it and then just scrape it out. Done that before too. Just burn it, just get it black after you get all the glass out. Don't do that while the glass is in. Be careful hitting the glass with flame, boy. It can just explode. Especially with the big torch. Didn't look like these ones are going to come out easy as I thought. I was going to show you guys a little trick, but it didn't work. Okay, I get it hot again. I'll bring it back in. I'll get it hot, play with it a little bit. Nope, it ain't working on these. So anyway, just keep tearing this all apart. No shortcuts today. Might want to try it first though, before you give up. Take all this rubber out of here. Got all the bolts soaking in Freon. This stuff is, if you want to spend a little more money, this stuff is a lot better than PB Blaster. A little more money, but saves you time. About twice as much money as PB, but it's a lot better, I think. It reacts a lot faster. I got bolts off that I put PB Blaster on. I put that stuff on, it came right off. So I think it's better. Learned that from Marcy Junebug, another YouTuber. A woman building a 58 combi. Has a cool channel. Watch her every once in a while. Wouldn't have time to watch YouTube, which isn't very often. Usually working. Still take time to watch them. Watch Musty One. Watch CT. Watch 5150. Now you guys know who that is. He's the guy who says thumbnail is everything. 5150. That's the guy who said it. If you didn't figure that out already. All right, let's pull this one off, see how bad it is too. I know the bottom of it, the bolts are rusted out. The bolts that go between here. Maybe I should take all the bolts out, that would help. Better get those ones out. Well, it's not too terrible. That's pretty bad. Yeah, I'll have to fix it still. These are really expensive to buy. Under here isn't very good. Let's look at this other one. That there might be a little bit of a problem. Just have to grind it out of there and then maybe take some more metal and make that little inner piece there. I don't know. We'll see. Come back into it in a minute. So this hole, and I think that one, are a little bit small. So I'll just take a little file, clean them up. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you what I did on this. If you can even see it from this angle, you almost can't. It's a real fine. What I did is I used 22 gauge. And what happens when you butt it right here is it's hard to get it to go on straight. So if you look there, it's pretty straight. I just have to do this one yet. I'm not done there. So once I do that, I'll pull that straight before I clamp it. Take a look at it in a second. But what I do is I take a little strip of metal. I use this 22 gauge. Take a little strip of metal, and then I'll stack the metal on top of the other. It's so thin that it, you almost don't see it there. And it shouldn't make any difference, but it'll help strengthen that up. Where that's kind of, it's not terribly bad, but it's just a little thin from the rust. And it's been treated, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it there versus trying to take out that edge out and try and redo the whole thing. It doesn't need to be done. I'm just going to do like this section here where I butt welded in a section, and then I'll go down there and do that one the same way. So let's do that and check it out. Alright, so I've got a lot of things going on at the same time. One of these things is this thing here was just full of rust and dirt and stuff, and I've rinsed it out a few times. I tried a lot of things, and it still kind of works now. Didn't work at all. So I thought I'd try something a little bit different I've never used before. But I've seen it on other guys' YouTube channels, so I'm going to try this stuff now. I mean, I could have used like vinegar, soaked it in there. That helps. That usually does it. But I thought I'd try this, since the store's right up the street. And we'll see if it works. I'll shove this and maybe fit in there. Yeah, we don't use very much of it. I'll put some in there. I'll leave it in there overnight maybe. It says reusable. Alright, cool. That might be kind of a good thing to have around. We'll We'll see how it works out. I'll let you know later. All right, let's see how this thing's doing. Let's see. Well, there's hardly any rust left on that thing. Wow. That's pretty cool. Let me rinse it off. We'll take a look at it. Well, it seems like there's no rust in there and everything starts to work a little bit. It's like I'm moving this thing. It's starting to move. I mean, nothing on this thing moved at all. It was just so caked full of rust. And I tried a few different things first, and then I went, you know what, I'm just going to grab something. I was thinking, what can I dip it in? And I thought, oh yeah, I could just dip it in that stuff. So, now this thing's starting to work a little bit. Now I'm wondering if a little bit of penetrating lubricant might help. Because I mean, literally, it's kind of dry in there probably. Let's try it. I've already tried penetrating lubricant before, but and that's what kind of got it to the point where I could actually dunk it and that stuff. Let's try it, see. Just have some Freol in there. Stuff seems to really work good. I don't know if this thing's working. This thing's actually moving. It hasn't been moving yet so far. I know eventually this thing's gonna work. These old German locks just, it's like I was talking to Charlie Hamill and he says, yeah, all that stuff on that bucket truck's probably gonna work. And I'm like, dude, it's like totally rusted out. And he says, yeah, just fix the rust holes, it'll probably work. I'm like, all right. So we'll see. See, they'll help me out with that when I get to that point. See what happens. Well, maybe this thing will move, I don't know. I gotta get it to work. Maybe it's locked. I don't know exactly how that works. I don't know if you could still open it while it was locked. I had to play around with it for a while. Just sit there and move stuff around. At least this thing works now. There's nothing. It was stuck completely. So the evapor rust really kind of worked pretty good. Good stuff to have around, I guess. Nice product to have around. Like I said, I've never needed something like that. Usually I can get it without it. Maybe I should be using it. Like I have door locks. I've had door locks before and I just freed them up. But maybe if I just soaked them in that stuff first, it might work better. Let's try this thing. Do this thing now. Yeah. Well, I'll fiddle with it a little more. Anyway, the evapor rust seemed to work pretty good. Got the stuff out of there, and I can probably get it from there. Just jiggling stuff around. There's probably some dirt and stuff in there too, so that's not helping anything. Looks like Frankenstein. A lot better than this pile of rubber. Yeah, restoring this truck is kind of like if you took a truck where it was a junk hauling guy, maybe he was using it to like haul scrap for 30 years, you know, and then restoring it. That'd be about like restoring this, right? Nobody restore those trucks. They just look at them and go, oh man, that thing's just too beat up. But you know, like I said, you know, there's only one of these left, so gotta make it official, right? So yeah, I got a lot more to do here. I still gotta weld that dog leg back in there. I just didn't want to, when I was doing it, I didn't feel like crawling under there and taking the wheel off and digging on my back for a while. I've been doing that for a few days, so I thought, well, I'll work up there. And you know what? It's not easier working up here. It's actually harder. But yeah, I still want to cut off some of this still. I leave something on. Sometimes I leave things on for reference. And somebody was saying, hey, I should replace that all the way across. You know, probably, but what I'm going to do is I got rid of, I'd say, all the bad parts. Okay, there's a couple of small isolated pinholes, you know, where you got to know how people think that rust just, you know, it just starts rusting from the inside for no, you know, usually the paint got compromised somewhere. So it might be that some chemical was on it for a while and the paint got compromised, and then the rust crawls underneath the paint. So in the first part where it started first, that's where it was rusting first, and then as it goes, it just crawls underneath the paint. And that's the difference between surface rust and cancer. Surface rust is cancer. So people go, oh, it's only surface rust. I'm like, it's surface rust. If it's rust, it needs to be eradicated. If it's there, you either need to treat it, stop it, it'll keep going. Like some guy said, rust never sleeps. That is a true comment. That rust does not, it just keeps going. So as long as it's removed or it's treated, it's just dead at that point. And then encapsulated. So if you coat over it and really good, there's a lot of different ways to encapsulate rust as well. So if it's treated underneath and then encapsulated, then it takes forever for that stuff to come back. It usually won't in your lifetime, you know. And look at how long this thing's been on there. You know, it's been out there and it's finally rusted out this long. So if it lasted half that long, that would be pretty good, but it'll probably last longer than that because it's gonna have like a different life, I hope, from here. So anyway, that's it for this. You know, I'm just worn out that using that spot welder. I'm gonna roll this edge here when I get all done. I'll roll it and I'll use our famous tool there, the skin zipper, and I'll just zip that thing down nice, make it look clean. And then but I wanted to leave it up so that I can figure out the distance. I was just kind of checking it there to see if that's the right distance, and it is. That's what I thought. And so I'm going to cut that one off at that distance, same distance. Then I'll just roll that one after I'm all done, you know, at some point. I don't know when. I got a lot of work to do on the roof. It's going to take me a little while, you know. Working up there, it's kind of out of your reach, so you're up a little high. This is when it would be nice to be on a rotisserie, right? But to me, on this thing, there's no, it wouldn't have really made much difference if I put it on. I mean, I put it on a rotisserie after I did the bed, so then it was like, well, then what else is there to do the cab? Big deal. Wouldn't really save me, and it wouldn't save me any time. And I'm not trying to do that kind of a restoration where I'm going to make everything look perfect. If I did on a rotisserie, it does help because you have the right angle. You can weld down instead of up. It's just better. So anyway, that's a little bit about this thing. Harbor Freight welder is still going, and haven't blown it up yet, but it's been pretty good. It's maybe not as good as some of you guys were commenting on the other video. Maybe not as good as some of your Lincolns or the Miller, you know. The Lincoln and the Miller welders are better. You know, of course they're 2 or 3 times as much money, but you could do a fantastic job with that. You're just going to do maybe a little bit more work I can't quite get my settings dialed in to get a really tight, you know, spot with it, you know, but it's not bad. It doesn't take me any time at all to grind this stuff, because it's a nice soft weld, because it's a inverter welder. They do make a little nicer weld. I might, you know, if I played with the induction, maybe. Yeah, that's why it was messed up. I had the induction at 8. I bumped it. So maybe if I put it down lower, it would make a tighter spot. I don't know. I haven't played with that one much. So anyway, it's working, so it doesn't matter. You know, I'm not that picky about, you know, my welds looking really nice. I just do them and then grind them off and done. As long as they're holding, that's what I'm most important looking at. So anyway, I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.